Om Shuklam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur Devo Maheshwarah Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, pop quiz. Somebody is not on mute. Just mute everyone. So we have talked about various forms of mother as we were going through the first, and we are on the 139th nama, Nirguna, which is the second line of the 44th shloka. So the first set of namas we were talking about Upasya Brahman, like mother in three different forms. One is a physical form as a lady, of the form of a lady, and everything was described from her. First they started from, like, Kesha Adi Padantam is what we call, from the hair till her toenails were described, and then we have seen her courage and, like, how everything was destroyed. So we have seen how she helps in there is a Puranic story form that was given, but also the afflictions within us, how they get destroyed, was given. Then there was the mantra form that was given in 4 lines, and then there was a Kundalini form that was given in about 6 or so, or 6 or 8 lines. And then there was the Shambhavi or Bhavani Vidya that we have seen. Now we are talking about Jnaya Brahmam, what is to be known, like, here Upanishadic Brahman, the form of the Satchitananda Parabrahman as the mother herself. So we have seen that there is Parabrahman, that Chaitanyam doesn't have gender, right? And we have known that. So from the original Chit Chaitanyam, there was mother was the first creation of Parabrahman, and you can give any names, and in Sri Vidya there is a particular name that we give to Parabrahman. So matter and energy that is combined with consciousness, that is all pervading, and you can take that consciousness separately, that is the pervading consciousness separately, and we give it a name called Vishnu, or we combine it together, and the Chit Swarupam, that mother is Chit Shakti, is what we call it. Chit and Shakti combined together. So we are trying to understand the original nature of the Upanishadic Brahman, that form of mother, through these namas. So we have seen quite a few already. So it starts from Niradhara, all the Ni namas, Niratyaya till Niratyaya. That's what we will take as a set. So we'll try to go through all of this, and most likely I'm hoping to finish till all the Ni namas today. Let's see how it goes. So Nirguna, the 3 gunas that we have previously talked about, the Sattva guna, Rajo guna, and Tamo guna. So she is beyond all of these gunas, and the gunas, because they are not in balance, the creation exists or manifests. But when they are balanced together, again, there is no creation. So as the qualities are connected with the body, matter, they are absent from what belongs to Chit. So the gunas are for this body, mind, and sense organs, and not for Atman, the Chit Shakti. So she is Nirguna. She is beyond all of these gunas. Then the next nama is Nishkala. So contemplation on Brahman without qualities. And so this is not the kalas we were talking about, the Suja kalas, Chandra kalas, and all of that. So that we'll talk about that. I need to find a space where I can talk about it. So there are some 99 or so kalas that we should be talking about. But Nishkala, somebody contemplation without any qualities, that Parabrahman without any quality. So she is pure, like, in like a Sphatika, she has no attributes, no colors, nothing. That is Nishkala. Then Shanta, pretty straightforward, tranquility. She is tranquil, she is serene, and she is also the peace. So you can take Shantam in so many different ways. There are various different measures of Shantam. So she is all of those measures of Shantam. And I'd encourage you to think about what other words can we use. If you want to think in English, that's totally fine. For Shantam, what do you think are synonyms for Shantam? And try to observe the difference between one of those other word. What is tranquility versus what is serenity? They're very close to each other, but there are subtle differences. So observe that, and that actually gives you the essence of how much Shantam is required in our lives, and how this one Nama, the Shanta Nama, helps us with that. Okay. So there are some theories that Bhaskara Raya is diffusing. We will ignore that and move to the next one, Nishkama. So she doesn't have any kama. Kama is a desire. And then we can ask the question, then if there was no desire, it is purely, we say, like, no, sankalpa matrena, the whole universe was created because of that one desire had of manifestation. How does this relate to that if she is nishkama? As we were just talking about, when the gunas go out of balance, depending on all the composite of all the karma phalas in the unmanifested form, are this bubbling energy in the God's particle, right? When the gunas go out of balance, then the thought, by pure desire, by pure one thought, Bhagavan has created the universe, and the universe comes into existence. But Atma doesn't have any desire. And in the Nitya Nama, I don't know if we have very specifically talked about, there is the Nitya Vastu Viveka Vivechana that Acharya talks about. Atman Atma Viveka, Nitya Viveka, or Drishya Vakya Viveka. There are multiple layers of it. So whatever is eternal, what existed in the past, it exists now and will exist in the future, in all the three kalas, that is Nitya. And that Nitya is taintless, is gunaless, is attributeless, is desireless. So we are talking about, on one end, we are talking about Parabrahman, and one end, we are also trying to understand the Atman who is us, to the discussion, like relate to the discussion we were having yesterday. So she is without any desires. Devi Bhagavatam is quoted here by Bhaskara Raya. He says, when her wishes are all fulfilled, then nothing remains for her to desire anymore. That is the state of Nishkama. And there's one thing that comes to mind, but our Atman, somebody is not on mute, I'm going to mute them. But our Atman continuously looks for something, like whether it is the Atman or by mind or body. Let's analyze that a little bit more. But we are continuously looking for that happiness. So would we say, is it Atman trying to get back to what its real nature is, which is the Satchidanandam, that the Anandam itself? Or is Atman looking for it, or is the mind looking for it? And we have to say, and Swami Paramarthananda gives us this analogy. So if you have, say, take water, and if you put it in, like, in freezer, it'll become an ice cube. As soon as you bring it back, it continuously tries to come to its original form, no matter what form it moves towards. It comes to its original form by the very nature, not because it has the desire, because that is the nature of water, to be liquid. So if you freeze it, it becomes it becomes ice cube, but it'll melt as soon as it gets the opportunity. Or if it condenses, then or it becomes water vapor, it condenses again to become drops. Similarly, the very nature of Atman is Anandam. It is not looking for something. It is the very nature, and it will come back to its original shape or what its original attribute is. Therefore, it is not a kama. So this was a question that I asked long ago, if we are nishkama, then why are we seeking this happiness? Okay, the next nama is Nirupaplava. Yeah, Nirupaplava is indestructible. So again, going back to Bhagavad Gita, there were quite a few shlokas, Achedyohyam, Madahyohyam. So it cannot be burnt, Atman cannot be burnt, Atman cannot be cut into pieces, Atman cannot be destroyed in any way because it is eternal, it is indestructible. So that's being reiterated here. There is a connection to these, to the internal meditation, the Antaryagam that I have previously mentioned. I cannot go into some of those details, but what I will encourage everybody to do, I know I previously mentioned, like, do it till 40 as you start your sadhana, but these set of shlokas, shlokas till 50, if you're able to extend it to 50 shlokas to start with, and I will again probably in the future will say extend it to 70. But here you have the real nature of Bhagavan. So there are multiple reasons why these 10 shlokas are very, very important. Then the next nama is Nitya Mukta, ever free. So whose devotees are ever free, or she is eternally free and salvation performed. I don't want to use the word salvation here, but mukti personified, that liberated freedom that is personified. She is the one who has those attributes. So any of these that we are talking about they are attributes of mother, and also she bestows these attributes on her devotees, whoever does the sadhana on her. And this is like, we've seen that across. By this time you would have understood that whether it's just like, Vishnu Sahasranamam or Lalita Sahasranamam or Bhagavad Gita, take Rudram or any Upanishad, everything is trying to tell us the same thing, that you are the Atman and this is the nature of Atman. Therefore, if you start understanding yourself as the Atman, then you become this indestructible, the Nitya Mukta, Nirvikara, Nirguna, Nishkala, Shanta. All of these will be our very nature by understanding and doing this sadhana. The next nama is Nirvikara. Vikaram means changes. Nirvikara means the opposite of that, which is she is unchanging. Atman cannot change, and we have seen this as well in the past. It's a repetition. We have seen the 6 forms of modification. So asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, etc. That is something, it is born, a body is born, it grows, and it ages, it gets destroyed, and then comes back to the cycle. So there are 6 vikaras, and Atman does not have any vikaras. So if mother is nirvikara as her children, we are also nirvikara from the Atman standpoint. So in this, there is one beautiful thing that is explained here. The Moola Prakriti, root of all, is no production. The 7 principles, the Mahat, etc., are productions and productive. 16 are productions, soul is neither. Yeah. So she production or production that is not happening because of the Atman. That's what they're trying to say. There are 3 tattvas like Mahat Tattvam. There are 2 more tattvas. So mother is those tattvas, she does not have any modifications. Atman does not change, whether it is due to space or due to time, or because it is embodied in a body. The Atman does not have afflictions. The afflictions are for the mind that enshrouds the Atman, because the Atman is within this Jiva. It is the vrittis of our mind, the colorings of our mind that impact our activities, does not impact the Atman within us. The next nama, Nishprapancha, without extension. So prapancha means accumulation, extension, expansion. So here Mandukya Upanishad is quoted. They think the 4th state, the state of, is the negation of illusion, peace, bliss, and non-duality. So it is also non-extending, Nishprapancha. The next nama is Nirashraya, bodiless. And here again, it's a contradiction, right? Like we were just talking about, how like, ruby like cheeks that she has, and, Sampenga like nose that she has, and all of that. Now it refutes all of that and contradicts, saying she is bodiless. Atman cannot have a body. Atman enlivens a body, but is not dependent on the body to exist.
Sriji, a quick question.
Sure.
How is Nish Prapancha like non-extending, right? But Atma is everywhere, so how can it be non-extending?
So the difference here is, if we think about the expansion and the unmanifestation that we were talking about, it is not, this one is not related to that. So what they're talking about is, once it has reached a limit, there is nothing else to extend beyond. The whole time and space has been occupied by Atman, right? If it is only Atman that needs to create more, but within what exists, there is no more place for it to expand. It's like the sthanu meaning that we were talking about. Were you able to connect those two? So let's put it this way. If, for example, if there is a rubber band that I'm stretching, and I would stretch it only to the extent the stretch can happen, but it cannot happen to a place where it does not exist to. Or within that stretch, it is only to this point, from point A to point B. Did I make sense? Any expansion is because of her, but she does not depend on anything else to expand.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. Then Nitya Shuddha, ever pure. I think we don't need to discuss too much about it. She is blemishless, and we have seen the three kinds of blemishes on the Arnavamala, Mayikamala, and all of that. So she is pure from everything. Nothing can taint Atman. So the body.
Nirashraya. Sorry, Guruji, I missed Nirashraya.
Nirashraya is bodiless.
Body.
Yeah. So most of what Bhaskara Raya has given here is contradictions or refutes some of the other theories. So for example, in bodiless, the only description that I'm seeing here is, there is a whole philosophy called as Charvaka philosophy. And according to Charvaka philosophy, what I hear, and I have not seen any Charvakas in the sense that they're following Charvaka philosophy, is that this body exists, or body was given to us, so we can enjoy the life as much as possible. So drink, eat, whatever, but enjoy from your day 1 to day 100, and leave the body. So that is what I understand as Charvaka philosophy. And in Brahma Sutras and Shankaracharya refutes quite a few philosophies, like including what is that? Purva Mimamsa, and we are Uttara Mimamsakas, right? Like Purva Mimamsa, and there are other philosophies that what is that actually is like Purusha and Prakriti. I don't know, I'm missing the name. So he refutes all of those theories, and Charvaka philosophy comes in the other extreme of what we think, right? We think we are the Atman that lives in this body, and this body is given to us, so we can relieve our Atman from this body by getting the jnana and avoiding karma palas and getting rid of our prarabdha karma. And on the other end is the other extreme of the scale is Charvaka philosophy, which is the body is given to us so we can enjoy and we can have fun, and then at the end we will die. So Bhaskara Raya has been refuting those theories, which I'm trying to avoid, because none of us, I believe, I think, will not believe in that theory. So there is no point trying to argue that. So Nitya Shuddha is the body is impure, the mind could have afflictions and vikaras, but the Atman cannot be tainted with that. So she is ever pure. Nitya Buddha is ever wise. So she is the form of Chit, she is the Jnana, so Satchidanandam, or the Chit itself is Jnana, or Satyam Jnanam Anantam Jnana. So she is the Buddhi, not the Buddhi like the Antakarana part of the Buddhi, the Manas, Chit and Antakarana, not that one, but the Jnana itself, the whole knowledge that exists. So she is Nitya Buddha. Niravadya, blameless. Avadya means blame. The modifications of avidya is what Bhaskara Raya is quoting, Shvetashvatara Upanishad. I did not highlight anything here, so I'm going to move to the next one. There is a Nila Lohita riff that's given here, but okay. So blameless, and she will make us the same thing too. So in all of these, on one we are actually talking about Atman. Just keep thinking about that. It is not just an external vigraham or a photo that you are praying to, that is, oh, mother in this photo is Niravadya, but his mother who is living within us is also Niravadya, and how we become the Niravadyas as well. Not, we will not be blaming, or we will be blameless. Nirantara, compact. I thought I heard a second meaning to this one, which is not coming to mind. Antara means opening, or clothing, or disappearance, or difference. But she is compact, and this is where the whole thing comes back to how compact, or how massive, or how enlarged the Brihat, the contradictory meanings, and we've seen that in Vishnu Sahasranamam as well. Right after one after the other, there are contradictory words that get used. She is compact, and when we talk about, say, in the Kundalini forms, she is a fiber in the stalk of the lotus stalk. Sorry, the fiber in the stalk of lotus. So she is extremely compact in the Kundalini form, and she is everywhere in her Chit Swarupam. Okay, Nishkarana, without cause. Since she is the cause of everything, she is without cause. So again, there was a Bhaskara Raya doesn't go into deeper in this as well, but there is a whole different text that talks about the inner meanings of all of these Ni Namas. What I can tell you at this point is chant these, and you will be getting the benefit of what those are, and at some point in the future, maybe I'll be able to segregate a few of you who have been chanting, and if you're interested in understanding the deeper meanings, I may be able to share that maybe next year or so, but I would highly recommend chanting these on a regular basis. The next nama is Nishkalanka, faultless. So she is pure, untouched by any sin. So therefore, she is Nishkalanka. Nirupadhihi, without any limitation. Upadhi is some superimposition. So this was taught to us by Swaminathan Mama in his lecture. So where he showed us, if there is a Spatika Lingam and then you bring a red flower beside it, then the reflection of the red, the Spatika Lingam, you will start seeing that, you would start feeling or seeing as if the Shivalingam is in red color. So Upadhi, the red flower, which transfers its color to the crystal near it, is the Upadhi. Similarly, ignorance is the Upadhi, which causes the appearance of duality or plurality in consciousness. How many of you understood what I just said? This is the essence of Vedanta.
Could you please repeat that?
Yeah. So I'll just repeat the sentence and then we will take a minute to understand this. Upa is near, Adhi means gives. Okay. The red flower, which transfers its color to the crystal near it, is the upadhi. Similarly, ignorance is the upadhi which causes the appearance of plurality in consciousness. So, yeah, did somebody want to share any thoughts?
So because of that, how to say, Guruji, that like the Atman is getting clouded by all this layers and layers. So we are not exactly understanding like the cloudiness, like we are not getting the pure thing. Like I don't know whether I'm making sense, but
You
the Spadigam, like we are like the Atman is pure, right? But like with this multiple layers and whatever is coming through us, we are absorbing that, and like we are reflecting that versus the pure, the Spadigam, that the pure Atman, the thought is not shining up.
correct. Very much. Yes. Anitaji?
I was going to say, because of the attributes or influences around us, you get absorbed those, and it changes the reflection. Like like Swami Mama Jay says, so you have to get rid of all that to see the inner Atma, or to see the Atma.
And Anitaji, if I may ask, what would you consider as the influences around us?
It could be, you can start like what we talked today and yesterday, the kama, krodha, and the wanting and not wanting, liking, not liking, everything taints it.
Very much. So here the external anything influences that we're talking about includes our body and mind. So, and initially we've also discussed that it is not somebody else who causes us trauma. It is not somebody else's behavior or what they do to us or what they say to us that causes us all these afflictions in our mind. It is how we perceive it and how we take that with filters in our mind. Oh, did he say that? And did I underline this specific word? I'm going to emphasize this, keep it in bold and highlighted and italics. I think this is what he meant. And we interpret, and I do that quite a bit, not blaming anybody else. So there is an interpretation that goes in, and then we mull it over and over and over. And then we take it to an extent, probably that is not even what the original intention of the person is. So what here external to us after Vedantic classes should include body, mind, and sense organs. So the ignorance is because we are in this body, we are limited to this body. We think this is me. And the example of car, right? Like somebody who drove in a car for 8 hours thinks that his car is an extension of him, and he does not know how to survive without the car. Sounds funny, but what Adi Shankaracharya says is you are living in this body and the body is a vehicle, and you think you cannot live without the body, or you're nothing but the body. So the avidya, the ignorance, is thinking that I am the body and I am this mind and sense organs, and living in that notion, versus separating them out and understanding how they work and analyzing how they work and removing these afflictions, so we can get more purity day by day. Like every day has to be different. We cannot do this overnight, but over a period of time these afflictions should be gone and the purity of Atman should reflect. This is for external people. But internally, the Atman has always been pure. As if I can associate myself with the Atman, whatever is happening outside as a scenario is not even affecting me. It's a scenario, and we spoke about this movie scenario, movie screen, right? So anything can happen on the movie screen, but the screen is not tainted with any of these afflictions. So nirupadihi is a definition of the Atman. So we are also, like if I'm associating myself and I say I am the Atman, I as the Atman is nirupadhi. but I append upadhis to it, and the upadhis are my body, mind, and sense organs that are creating these vrittis, like, the raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, etc., etc.
Shriji, can you just explain what adi is, the meaning?
Ati?
Upa is near, adi is?
Adi means gives.
Gives.
Okay, so the
Guruji,
next one.
when you were talking, I was thinking more like a child, right? Like Atman, like a child. Like children, like if you see, they don't have anything. Like nothing
Correct.
influences them. You scold them also. That moment they think, and that's it. It goes away. Like they don't
Yeah.
like think, or like as you say, like we mull over things. We put meaning to it. We give a body to it, a shape to it. Oh, this person meant that. Like this is what they meant. But like if we have like a child like that Atman, which is pure, not influenced by anything, then like I think this whatever you said would be perfect, that state.
Correct. Yes, very much. And over a period of time, even children, like, start getting angry maybe when they're like, 6 to 8 months old, and we say something and they run away and they want to leave the hand and run on their own. So all of those come as the mind starts taking over,
Yeah.
right? So it is the deconstruction of whatever we constructed over a period of tough time, and reverse engineering all of this to go back to that state of purity. And then the sadhana will actually be at a very elevated state, because you're not putting it through these filters.
Yeah.
So this is the antakarana shuddhi that we were talking about, the karma yoga part. And the scenarios that get presented to us are very tailor-made to what we need to do, on how, based on what afflictions are we suffering with, that God feels, okay, this is the lesson that I'm going to give you, in order, this is the worksheet that you have, so you can move past this affliction that you're currently getting bothered by, and continuously working to our way through these afflictions and getting to a state of, like, that nirvikalpa samadhi, or the Ritambara prajna, the highest state, where that person lives in that Atman consciousness, and nothing affects him. Everything gets reflected off, just like, how pure all the colors will start becoming, like, the white color, and all the white color reflects every other color. Similarly, everything gets reflected off of us. It will not get, we don't become receptacles of these afflictions anymore.
Thank you, Guru.
The next one, ni raga, without raga. I don't know why the translation here is without passion.
Did we finish Nirishwara?
Oh, there was one more. Sorry. No, we did not. Without a superior. Nir Ishvara. There is no Ishvara above her, because, and this should not be taken in the wrong way. Shiva and Shakti, and we have talked about the Prakasha Vimarsha. So they don't exist without each other. It is in an interdependent relationship. So Prakasha does not exist without Vimarsha, and Vimarsha does not exist without Prakasha. So she is Nir Ishvara, she is above everything in that sense. Then Niraga, I personally don't know how it is without passion, so I'm going to skip that part. So Raga, we already know, she does not have any likes and dislikes, and it's purely a dharma, a rule, a law that just follows the very nature itself, and that does not have favors, or favorable to some and not favorable to the other. There is no bias. So she does not have any raga. Okay, and there is I have not heard this before, so I'm going to just read it. Nira means water, and Aga means mountain. Both of them are her forms. So I've not heard of this breakdown before, so I'm reading it for the first time. But the primarily it is taken as, in this context, especially, like, what the nature of Atman and the attributes of Atman, Niraga is taken as not without any raga. Ragha Madani, somebody who destroys desires. And it is not a bad thing. If I told my son about the same meaning, he would be like, why would she destroy my desires? I would like my desires. So all of you are much more elevated than a 20-year-old. So I don't think I need to explain why that's a very good thing and very important thing for us to, for her to do, is she is the one who gets rid of our ragas. So the ragas don't turn into dveshas and mohas and shokas and all of that sequence. Then the next one, nirmada. And notice that these are layers. Again, if you put it into Sri Chakram and the reverse engineering process that I was talking to you about, connect those dots here, that each of these are afflictions. And as we are taking our journey through that to get to the Bindu, from wherever we started from the Bhupuram, all of these are afflictions that are getting removed. That's why I'm saying this has a lot more to understanding Atman is the most important thing of our lives. We get to the Paroksha Anubhuti that we were talking about if you were in the Gita class yesterday. There is the Paroksha understanding, and then Aparoksham is I am no different. I can completely, I imbibe this and I live as the Atman. To get to that stage, all of these afflictions have to be removed one after the other. So she gets rid of our Mada. Mada Nashini, she destroys pride. Nischinta, without any care. How beautiful would it be if I did not have to care about anything? So she takes us to the point where we will be Nischinta. And Nischinta also has the Chinta means anxiety and those meanings as well. So she also takes us away from our anxiety.
So Madanashini is, sorry, I missed that. Guruji.
Destroying pride.
Destroy.
She destroys pride. Madam, we know Madam, right? In our regional language. I personally prefer, like, using regional languages to understand each of these words. Pride to me is, I'm proud to be a Sanatana Dharmi, is different than the pride of, the pride as a Arishad Vargam. So she destroys that pride. The next nama is Nirahankara. Ahamkara, multiple meanings. The main meaning obviously is that I don't know if that is the same. I'm assuming that's the same that is used in all the regional languages. In Ahamkara, in Vedanta is a little different. So she destroys our ego. And Ahamkara is, if you break that word down properly, it is Aham, me, Kara, what am I associating myself with? When I say Aham, Aham means, Sanskritam means I. So when I say I, what am I associating myself with? So she destroys our current notion of what I am, which is generally about, like, I am the body, mind, and sense organs. So she destroys that and she puts us in the right path of who I really am. So she is the giver of jnana by removing the wrong notions of who we are. Nirmoha. So she removes our moham or confusion or distraction of mind. So she removes that. And Atman is by the very nature does not have moha. So make sure, like, even if I mention it or not, what we are talking about are attributes of Atman. Atman does not have raga, Atman does not have ahankara, Atman does not have moha, Atman does not have shoka. That's one part of it, like, that's pretty straightforward. She also destroys in her devotees is the second one that we have to take. Moha Nashini, so she destroys confusion. She does not have, and she destroys that for us. And what is the confusion? That I am different from Bhagavan. That is the difference, the disparity, that I am the Jivatman and there is Paramatman that is living in the clouds. So she reduces the distance between me and my Bhagavan. So that is the by imparting the idea of unity. How important is that, right? Mohanashini. Nirmama, without any self-interest. Mama is mine. So that possessiveness that we have, or like, I want to do it for my son, or I want to do it for my happiness. So she'll remove that mamatvam from us. So therefore, that self-interest or self-centeredness in us. So she is nirmama. Mamata hantri. So the same thing. So she destroys that self-interest in us is mamata hantri. So when we talk about mamata as mamta on our family, and we would immediately think, why would she destroy mamta on our family? What we have on our family members is moham, that confusion on, and there is a whole concept of that I don't want to get into. That'll like probably take up all the time for that. Is we think on behalf of them. We think, oh, because I love my son, this is good for him. I don't know why he's not doing it. I would like him to follow these rules because this is going to be good. It is good in my sense, but we think it is mamta. So there is a confusion in what we think versus what is good for others, as if the others don't know. We tell everybody what to do. Whether I do that, yes, I do. So when I say this, don't expect that I'm beyond all of this. I'm just saying what is that I am on a path for. I do tell my son, no, you have to eat healthy food. This is not good for you. So we all have that. So she destroys that mamta. So therefore she is mamata hantri. Nishpapa, without any sin, and papanashini, important, she destroys all the sins, all the karmas that we have accrued over a period of time. In our daily sadhana, in any upasana, we do whether you do the daily sandhya vandanam or whether you do any upasana, there are mantras. There is a whole process of whatever I have done yesterday, and actually in Sandhya Vandanam, because we do it 3 times. In the morning we do the mantra saying like, any karmas that I have accrued over punya karmas or papa karmas does not matter, or I have accrued overnight, I offer it to you at the feet of the Lord. And in the afternoon Sandhya Vandanam, we chant the same thing. Anything I've done since morning till now, I'm going to offer it to you. So she removes us from all the sins. So all the papas, she relieves us from. Nishkrodha, Krodha Shamani, again the same idea, without anger. The second nama, Krodha Shamani, she destroys anger in us. Similarly, Nirlobha, Lobhanashini, Lobham is greed. So Atman is greedless, and she'll make us, she'll destroy our greed. Nissamshaya, without doubt. There is no doubt in for Atman. And Samshayagni means she destroys all doubts in our minds. So this is important in our Mananam phase. Nissamshaya Samshayagni. Nirbhava, without any origin. And Bhavanashini, Bhavasagaram, right? We've heard that nama. So she destroys the samsara for us. By doing all of these things, what is she getting us into? By just going through each of these steps, and think of those, spots on Sri Chakram. She is making us walk through a path where we are going beyond all of these in order to get rid of samsara for us. That's the cycle of birth and death.
Sorry, can you come Nirbhava, please? She who does not have
origin. If something that is eternal cannot have a very specific point that's called origin, right? There is no date of birth or date of death. It's eternal forever. So in that sense, she is Nirbhava. And Atman is Nirbhava. So we are eternal as well. So where are we?
Avanashini?
Nashini would
Yeah,
be
Bhavanashini.
it destroys origin. Meaning, I'm sorry, I Bhavanashini.
Bhavanashini, she destroys the samsara. She destroys Bhavasagaram for us. She destroys this origin and death, the date of birth and date of death for us, which actually would mean there will be no cycles of births and deaths. So, in essence, there is no, so she destroys the samsara for us. Okay, so we are at 10:47, but have a few more of these namas, which we will take up next week. Should be pretty straightforward from here. And then Sarvagnya, Sandra Karuna, etc. So those are a different level. So we'll talk about those. Any final thoughts before we conclude here?
Can we chant this next week too? 47?
Yeah, I know. I was thinking about that. I just realized that we didn't chant these shlokas. So we'll probably take up, and from here on, I'm thinking instead of chanting one shloka at a time, we'll be taking them as bunches to understand a whole set. So we'll chant that bunch of shlokas and then go to the meaning. So we will do that. We'll chant these shlokas next week.
Shriji, just wanted to ask you something.
Sure.
You keep referring to Swaminathan Mama's presentation or the talk. Can you kindly post it on the forum?
It's on Google Drive. Sorry,
Good.
not Google Drive. It's on Google Drive, and I've uploaded to YouTube as well under Gita. There is a very specific section. There is one video that is named Swaminathan Mamaji's, Dr. Swaminathan's lecture.
Thank you.
So we'll conclude here. And I would say, like, it's a lecture that nobody should miss. If you have missed it and you were not in the study group at that time, I'd ask you to go back and refer to that. It's a beautiful session. And he tried to pack all Vedanta in its original terms, including, like, the original consciousness, the reflected consciousness, what is abhasa, and, like, he used some technical terms as well that I try to avoid using in our study group. So I would actually recommend everybody to go refer to it. Now with these many, having completed these many classes, it may make a lot more sense to you than what it would have done when we actually had that session. I think that was in June or July. So that was quite some time ago. So if you want to refer to it, I can post that same YouTube link in the forum. पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Sarvam Shri Paradevatarpanamastu. Sorry, I cut off somebody. Somebody wanted to say something.
I wanted to thank you, Guruji, for that macrocosm and microcosm video, the sun and that thing. It was so amazing. When you see the molecules and you compare it with Shivatandavam, it was like, it was mesmerizing, and I was having goosebumps like throughout watching that. Thank you so much.
I know, right? Awesome. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
I think opinion, not opinion, it is a fact. Ignorance has no beginning. It ends with knowledge.
Correct.
Since when I did not know, we can't say that.
Yeah. So we are born, and we are enshrouded in this ignorance, right? Like, Atman does not have ignorance, but by the very nature of matter and energy is ignorance. And then we just accrue it, like, by the very nature of being born, we get that avidya. And then that clouds the real nature of Atman until we get jnanam. So, and that's why Shankaracharya says, how many ever hundreds of thousands of births you may have, the time would come when you have to realize this, and only with this realization that whole unmanifestation can happen when everybody realizes this. But imagine the proportion of people that would actually come to the point of realizing this. And even Bhagavan says that in Bhagavad Gita 2 times actually. Shankaracharya talks about in Viveka Chudamani, Jantunam Narajarma Durlabhamataha. As such, among Jantus, being born as a human being is very difficult. In that, being born in Sanatana Dharma is a very small portion. And those who are born don't even realize the importance or what is being taught to us. And we don't even know. We just think, it's going to the temple is the same as going somewhere else. And out of that, understanding what is in the knowledge and seeking a guru to actually that realization of, sorry, wait a second, what's going on? Looks like I'm on a hamster wheel. This is yantra rudhani maya is what Bhagavan says in the 18th chapter, 61st shloka. So I am on this yantram that is keeping me rotating. I'm just trying to find something, but my destination is continuously moving. That realization has to occur. And then the person has to seek knowledge. The person has to find a guru, and the right guru in these days and age, finding the right guru is the most difficult thing. And then whatever the guru is being taught, we are able to hear, listen, understand, and those 9 layers of understanding that has to, did I post the 9 layers of understanding in our forum? I think it was in a different forum, my family forum, I posted that. I'll post it here too. There are 9 layers of understanding. And to get to realization, to realize and to be able to do sadhana on it, to be able to live throughout the life throughout with that realization. And he says any number of people can be born, but a very, very, very small fraction of people will attain that mukti. So how much work do we have to do in the rest of the years we've got left is up to us to calculate. So if I'm scaring you, I am scared. That's why I'm sharing that with you. There are so many obstacles, and they say, like, there are crocodiles in this samsara, and anything can pull you down at any given time. Maya can hit you. So being very careful and constantly doing that nididhyasana is important.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sriji.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you later. Namaskara.
Thank you, Sriji.
Dhanyavadaha.
Thank you so much.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ